One of the most impactful aspects of Krita AI is the live paint feature, where you can take your baseline artistic skill and maximize it and iterate upon it at a massive, massive rate, 10xing your output in a crazy, crazy way. This is what kills me about so many brilliant artists who are entirely opposed to AI art entirely, when if you just used it, you would get so much more value out of it than anybody. But there might be a reason why some people don't actually gravitate to the live paint feature, because a lot of people are either in two camps. They are really good at art, but they are terrible at prompting. This is most people, I think, who are artists. Then there are people who are really good at prompting and terrible at art. But I promise you, by the end of this, you'll get the most out of the live paint feature in Krita AI. Even if you're great at painting, or really bad at painting, or really bad at prompting, or really great at prompting. I got you. So, simply put, there are two things that really matter when it comes to using live paint. One is your keywords definitely still matter. The second thing is your settings matter so much more. If you understand both of these things, you can absolutely leverage the super tool, which is the live paint feature, which will be your key to compositional control and staying in the right alignment with what you're trying to actually draw. First things first, what is a label? What is a keyword? Or what is a prompt? Well, essentially, label I think is the best way to understand it, because it's actually how it's being done. A lot of AI art is being done through patterns and pixels and labelers. So essentially, whenever people seen really beautiful art, they would label it masterpiece if we were using the model illustrious. Some models have different terminology, but let's just use that at a base, right? All right, great. So think of masterpiece as S tier. So when you say masterpiece in your label for your keyword, it essentially culls all of the bad options. It basically says S tier, only give me the S tier options, or make S tier a super priority. Hence why most people use masterpiece at the beginning of their prompt, which is the most weighted area to put a label at the very beginning, so that all of your options tend to be S tier or above, right? Great. Now the good news is you don't need to understand all that. All you need to understand is that you still need to give the AI the right labels to be able to form the patterns that is going to composite your art. So basically it works like this. Let's shoot over to our artist arsenal over at our school course. So the first label that you're going to want to create, or the first keyword you're going to want to use, is something that was massively used when it comes to labeling anything, which was one, man, girl, dog, woman, boy, whatever, right? So if you're drawing I don't know, let's say it's like I don't know, blonde lady in a turtleneck, let's say. So it could look something like this. We could use woman, girl one, boy one, etc., girl mature, etc., all those things. So right here we have masterpiece, pencil art, and anime style, just so we have some sort of uniform output that we kind of like the overall style that we're going for. And then this is where we really need to pay attention. It's the woman, or one, no space woman, then mature, then black turtleneck, and blonde hair. That's essentially what we're going for. Super easy breezy, right? And we have white background just to give ourselves some nice contrast, essentially. Alas, now that we have our proper prompt, we have an overall structure for what we're going to be drawing. Again, you don't want to add too many crazy details, but it would really help if you associate a color with a thing. So for instance, if we say blonde hair, whenever we draw yellowy kind of pixels, or we put yellowy pixels on the page, the live paint feature is going to be observing that and informing that as we go, which is really impactful. Awesome. The second thing I mentioned before we even start putting, paint to page is the right settings. So this is actually really important. So if we go down here, I actually made my own custom template here called Live Paint right here. Now we can just go over what essentially I applied, and you're going to want to use exactly what we are going to lay out. So first things first, you're going to go down to the description down below and download this LoRa. This is a LoRa that came out a long time ago, but the TLDR is that essentially what it's going to do is it's going to lower the amount of steps needed to get you to a kind of competent output. And it's specifically tied to the XL models, which are great. So sometimes you'll have to find like a model that has turbo or something in it. But this allows you to basically tap into illustrious, and I think XL, yes, it specifically works for any XL model, SD XL model, which is great. So you don't have to worry about getting the right model to work for this. Essentially, this allows you to get an output within 4 steps, and it's really competent. And it works with a lot of the most popular models. And we're going to test some of those actually today. But essentially, you're just going to download this, drop this down into the LoRa page. Once again, I always like to say this just in case someone doesn't know. You can easily find out where your Krita AI Comfy UI model thing is installed. You just go here. It'll show you that's Comfy UI. You would go to models, you would go to LoRa's, and then you would just paste this here. Again, you can't do that because this is just showing you where the location is. So you'd have to find out this location and then go find it within your documents and then post it there after you're done downloading it, yada, all that stuff. But anyways, once you finally have it installed, you're good to go. Now you're going to want to go to your styles, and you're going to want to make a brand new thing called Live Paint Preset, because we're going to change a lot of this stuff in order to actually be able to use everything, right? Okay, so first things first is we're going to have this. Fantastic. We're going to download this. We're going to select it from our stack. Boom, it's selected. Now we're going to drop this down here, and we're going to paste the command key, which is right here. Copy this, jump over to back to Krita, and go ahead and paste that here. That way we're not having to paste it every single time we want to use it. So we're going to add a comma right there. Perfect. So now whenever we use it, it's going to be in full effect. We're going to want to give this 100%. We're going to make sure this is being used the entire time. Great. Now, so if you wanted the easiest method possible, just copy everything I have in this performance tab right here. It may be closed, so you might have to drop it in here, hit open, and you're just going to set everything to the right setting I have right here. So I actually tested all of these. I used things like turbo, lightning, real-time hyper, which I think is the default. None of them worked as better as just baseline or LoRa A with this special LoRa. And again, this makes it so that you can use any model generally. And it basically, what it does is it makes it so that you can use it within 4 steps, i.e. lightning 4-step LoRa. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set this to 4. Now, in my attempt, or when I use this, if we go over here, if I just lock that into Live Paint, you guys can see here that it's not showing up yet. Now, the reason why it's not showing up for how much our settings is because we have to go over here to Live Paint, to this tab, and that will let us pick from the various things that Krita offers, or Krita AI offers. We want to go to Live, and now we're going to have our limited strength, which is around 4. Now, we want to set this so that it says 4, but we really have 5. It's weird to set it to 4. It should work out, but if you have to set this to like 8, but the point that matters, if we're using this LoRa, we have to make it so that our strength level is at 4, okay? That's the thing that really matters, and that's the thing that moves the needle. So now if everything's set up, we're good to go. We have our baseline masterpiece, which is going to give us a little bit better results. And then we have the main thing that's the most important, which is this, which is why we increase the prompt weight, which is woman, mature, black turtleneck sweater, blonde hair. So now what we can do is we essentially can go over here to fill. We're going to go ahead and create a white background. And then we are going to start painting. And for love of God, I apologize in advance. This is going to be rough. It's bad. But hey, iteration's the game if you're really terrible at art. Alright, kill me. Anyways, first things first, we have our fill layer, which makes us have a black background. Then we're going to want to add a paint layer, which is pretty easy to add. We can just go down here and add paint manually, or we can hit a button to give it to you immediately. And you can see now that we have access to all these colors. So we're going to basically choose a fleshy kind of color. Now you can go with a soft paint, but it kind of doesn't matter. You just want to basically affect pixels. Honestly, we're only going to really want, what do you call it, her face to be here, and then we're going to want some black to kind of operate the turtleneck, which is this. Oh my god, I hate myself so much. I don't know, maybe we have some jeans at the very edge, some blue jean type stuff right here. It's going to look cursed. Also, this is really important, we're going to need to hit go. Boom. Now, when you hit go, you guys can see here there's a percentage going off, and that is slowly building up your image. Now, it might take some time at the very start. It looks cursed. It's gonna look cursed until you eventually just grab anything and make it look not terrible. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. I don't like it. I don't like me. I hate myself. Sure, let's take this. It's rough. Oh, okay. Now, every now and again, you'll get something that looks human, okay? And you're like, as a person with 0 art skill, you're like, God, okay. Okay, we're in the game. We're in the game. And then it'll give you stuff that looks horrifying again. And then you just gotta kind of sit with it. Oh, again, we're in the game. We're in the game, okay. We're gonna do. Now, one thing you can do is actually pause this, especially if you're running on tokens. You don't want to actually use this, so you want to give it some form. Oh my god, we're in the game, dude, boom. Oh, this model's so good. Anyways, and just like that, you too can hate yourself less. Okay. We're gonna give her a normal arm. Maybe we're gonna give her a little bit of skin pigment down here, so that there's a hand there. God help us, that nose. We're gonna also take away some of this so we can actually draw in an arm. Little tiny baby arm. I don't know, man. Anyways, we're gonna also take one of these. We're gonna do one of this. And you guys can see there's a little bit of gross stuff happening here because this is what the AI thought we were gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and say no to that. Damn it. No to that. There we go. She got a little tiny toothpick arm, but we'll fill that out a little bit. Anyways, This is a live paint feature in real time. Let's use some gray because it's dark as hell. Do some of this, some of this. God help me, please know what I'm trying to do with that. No, up. Ooh. Also, can you please not have a tiny baby arm, all right? Yeah, didn't like that. Didn't like that one bit. I just wanted some gray in there, man. Ooh, that works a lot better. Nice. I knew what I was trying to do, baby. Hell's the yeah. So we went from Garbo to... Come on. Come on, man. Fighting for my life over here. There we go. It knew what I was trying to do again. Again, it keeps iterating. So this is the thing that's kind of tough about line art. Live paint, not line art, sorry, live paint. Is that it continues to iterate in the background. And that can be a blessing because like you said, or like I said, it can just like spawn out and you're like, oh, that's perfect. That's actually much better for what I wanted as far as having more gradient. But the issue is that sometimes it keeps going and you don't know, you're like trying to give it more guidance. And sometimes you might not know what that guidance actually means. And sometimes you might want to blend something. So for instance, I really like the way this looks at a base. I think the pants specifically look great. I don't know if we need that much heat coming out of this art, but regardless, as you can see, every single time it iterates, it gets better and better and better because it starts to understand what the overall composition is. And we went from, oh dude, I wish I would have saved my, rewind time. We went from that to this in the span of a few seconds. Now, yes, it was literally painful having to be like, oh my god, I hate it. I can't draw this shit. But hey guys, it iterates over time and boom. Imagine if you actually knew how to draw something like this fantastic person. I keep using their fantastic video. Imagine if you did know what you were doing and then just boom, absolutely splendidly. And we can also take this. I also like that iteration. Boom, much nicer. All right, so now we're kind of cooking. We're good. We got something that actually looks not terrible, right? But here's how we can make it a little bit better. So now that we have something that we actually like looking at, we can actually add some other metrics. So we can say something like mountains in the background, and then we can actually add to this. So another method to do this is to not iterate as it's just going, but it's really nice to do that just because again, eventually you can be like, oh, that looks much better than what I had. And you're like, great. By the way, you might be curious what model we're using. We're using the baseline Nova Animate XL. This is the default install when you're installing with Krita AI for Illustrious. It's a version of Illustrious, but we're going to be using different models. This was just using this at a base. I'll fiddle around and we'll use different models and we'll see the iterative process, but this one, fantastic. But we have something over here that we don't actually want, this kind of weird face in the background. And now that we added that there's some mountains in the background, we might actually be able to use the color gray. I will use a sharp color first to give ourselves some mountains. Once again, yeah guys, I know, I get it. It's rough, okay? I need some positivity. I will use this kind of like slight gray offset. That's really dark. I don't want it to be that dark. I just wanted to add some gradient so it kind of gets an idea that there is different. We'll add some nice blue just so that the AI maybe knows that we're trying to also get some cool skyrise stuff happening. Now we can hit go and it will start to generate. It will basically observe all those new pixels and all those new patterns and it will try to conform something around that. Let's see if it can understand my madness, which, you know, rough. A little bit, kind of. So we'll say, yeah, that looks better than what I had, I guess, sure. And we'll just keep adding the blue just to kind of give it some sort of pizzazz. Now we do have white background, which is what it's constantly fighting with. So if we basically took that away, let's take off white background because I think that's actually killing us a little bit here. There we go. So now it's going to render without the white background applied. So it's going to probably, know what we're doing. Now, as it's ticking, that means it's not adding a different attempt, which is kind of nice. So if you're like, oh no, it's gonna block out the thing I'm doing, it's okay. It won't do that. That's pretty good. That's what we call an improvement, baby. I'm gonna try to get this, get this, get this. Ooh, that looks pretty good. We take that. We take those. We did it! Pow, pow, pow! Also, it's the models. They're all excessive, to say the absolute least. Yeah, but I don't know what to tell you on that. But hey, we got there. Turtleneck, blonde lady, good. All right. If we wanted to change, this is something actually kind of fun that we can do. We can say that maybe we don't want blue eyes. Well, again, how the AI model in general works is based on patterns and pixels. So what happens if we change the pixels around the iris to say something like gray? Well, we have blonde hair, so it might be actually using that. Like when you say blonde, it also has a label associated with all the other things that come with blonde, which is usually blue eyes and fair skin, things like that. So we'll see if we can actually just do this based on the metric of gray. specifically a white kind of gray. And I'm curious if this is gonna pan out. Now, as soon as I let go of my cursor, it's going to start to do that. Now, if we go over here, go over to this. Now, if it doesn't give us gray eyes, that's totally okay, because we can just go over here and say gray eyes. And now we just give it a minute. It will start to go ahead and plug on through. And now that we have gray eyes listed there, it will say, okay, that's going to overwrite the label of blonde. So it's going to say, oh, okay. Yeah, see, now you can see that she actually now has gray eyes. Now, what's fantastic, what we can do here is we can just add another paint layer. So we can go ahead and do this. And by adding a paint layer, we can actually just simply superimpose this image onto that. So just by clicking this, boom. And now we have all of those things. So if possibly there was something where we're like, actually, I really like the star in the background of this image. I think it was really, really nice. Well, it's actually really easy to get that. All we're going to essentially do, we should pause this because it's going to keep churning them out, is we can just go over here and access the actual Krita aspect of this program, and we can actually paint that out. So we want that image, but we're going to paint out all this background. So again, we can paint all that out, but when we go down to this, we're going to actually pull that back in. And maybe we're like, actually, I like those blue eyes. Let's see how that looks. And we can fade all this stuff in. Maybe you like the hair on one, how it was sharp here. Maybe you don't. So you can pull that back and you can fade things as you might want. Maybe you like the mountain in the other one, but not that you want to keep this little kind of shooting star. So then you can do that. And again, if you're more lighter handed than me, you can just do this and fade all those things in a much more nice way, and so on and so forth, and kind of clean that up as you might need to. Things like that. So that was using the base model of Illustrious, but you can use other things. I'm actually really excited to use this other one called Plant Milk. Yep. Anyways, back to the live paint feature. So all we're going to do is we're going to go back to live paint, and then we're going to keep everything that we wanted the same, and then we're going to go over here, and we're going to change out our model, which we do need an XL model. That's why this is SDXL. So we do have to have the bare minimum of an XL model, which you can see over here or right here. So we're going to go to, where are you? Plant. There, right there, plant. I just want to see how plant functions with this. All right, so we're back to our baseline canvas. Welcome back to hell. All that. Okay, so once again, for this time, I actually do want to test something. I just want to see what happens if we use not as much of a heavy-handed brush. So these are the jeans at the bottom. We're going to use black as or probably gray. We're going to have a really baseline juvenile output for it, but hey, I'm doing my best. And it's funny because actually this kind of blur is what the AI usually sees in general. So this actually is more in alignment. I'm just curious how much this works. We can actually probably start their live go. We don't need to wait until it's ready. We can go over here, go to some sort of color, my guy. There we go. Some sort of skin pigment, face, here. Weird, hell. I hate me more than you hate me, I promise on that. All right, that works. Damn, thank God. Saved me already. This one is going way more stylized with it, not going with jeans. It's a lot more, honestly, this looks great, but yeah, I guess I'm not really sure what to make of this. This is kind of so stylized. I don't know what to affect. I don't know if I like the hoodie. We're gonna try to less the hoodie, more of a weird corpo type. It also looks like the proportions here. There's a lot of sag here. We don't want that. We want a little bit less of the sag. Sure. There we go. Oh, right, because we have mountains in the background. That's what it's trying to do with that gray. So if we wanted, we can actually make that significantly more prominent. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. We can make that a little bit lighter up here. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Alright, this is the best I can do, guys. A little bit too much there, miss. This is the Wendy's. Relax. Don't love how it's looking real weird realistic, you know what I mean? Let's do something look crazy, all right? We're going to go with double down on pencil art by a lot. We're going to go 3 into pencil art. I don't like the way she's looking at me with that one. Also, the booba is kind of getting weird. It's getting all slopey. Little less crazy proportions. Still a real weird butt shot, but it is what it is. This is fine. That's fine. What can we add that's a little bit more excessive? Oh, by the way, that was like maybe like 3 iterations before it was like, okay, I get what you're doing. I get the composition. Also, once again, AI is trained on a lot of like pinup things, so you'll see just, bum, booba, all that stuff. So come to the territory, relax. You can just go into negative prompts and be like, less of that, please, sir. This is a Wendy's, all that. All right, let's shoot for the rafters. We added purple monster in the sky, so I don't know what kind of hell will come out of this, but let's roll it anyway. All right, so we're going to add some weird glooby monster. We're going to add some pink just to kind of give it some sort of form. So there's more pixels going on in that. Let's see what kind of monster it makes. So this was it without the color of knowing that that's new. What's gonna happen? Okay, it's kind of there, kind of dope actually. Much better than my glue monster. What if we make it have some more tonality, more volume? What if we get all that going on? Also add a little bit of purple smoke. All right. Don't like how moist it is. We want less of the tentacle, but more of a fucking entity. All right. I dig that. I don't know what this is. Some Resident Evil nightmare. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's live paint. That's using 2 different types of models. Both of them are really, really fantastic. And again, a lot of this is all iterative. And again, if you were basically like, oh man, I really like the way this looked, but I didn't, like, for instance, like this. You're like, I don't really like the way that looked, and you'll be, like, stationary. So what you can essentially do is just hit this button right here, which will randomly generate you a new image. So if this was at 100%, and I just didn't like the image, I didn't want to apply it or discard it, all you'd have to do is go over here, and you would get another attempt at it, right? So ladies and gentlemen, that essentially is the live paint feature. Even if you're like myself, who got into AI art because you just wanted to basically have better thumbnails, and and struggled to have any sort of art capacity, well, guess what? You can do it this way. And again, this is the thing that kills me. And I know I've been getting some interesting comments in some of these videos, of course. And it's such a shame to me because, like, I have so many people who I think are brilliant at art, and I think this would just, like, I can't paint worth shit, man. And if you had even this slight baseline knowledge of, like, compositional things like this, you could do so well. And again, there are other ways to make things not look as, like, quote unquote AI generated. We have a whole video on that in general, probably more videos on that in general. And again, like, it's just one of those things that I wish more people gave a chance, because the people who are like claiming this is going to replace them are the people that could use this the most, or people who would, like, if you just learn this tool, you would 10x your thing. You're like, you jump. And I maybe, again, that's a lot of belief stuff. I try to stay away from that and just try to provide as much value as possible. But alas, to recap what essentially you do, it's really, really simple. You use keywords that give you a general idea of what you're trying to go for, and you try to use keywords that are also tied to colors, because those pixels are going to be what's being managed. Then the second thing you want to do is set up the right settings, and that LoRa is king. That allows you to basically use any Excel model on the market, and it basically has like a really fast turnaround. Now, yes, it still takes some time. This is the issue if you have like a really good graphics card. Probably not very many people who have like a crazy graphics card. But more likely, a lot of people are actually using tokens, because it's just a significantly better deal. You spend $30 and you get like enough tokens for like 5 months, and that's if you're using them like crazy. And every single time you use a live paint thing, it only takes 1 token opposed to 15. So it's significantly more efficient in that way, which is great. Even if you have an okay graphics card, you can still tap into this and still kind of get past the growing pains of getting an image to your overall composition that you want within 4 steps opposed to 20, which can drastically increase the turnaround that you have. And again, you can use a bunch of different settings. These are the ones that work best for me. I'm curious if anyone else has any better ones, but I tend to like the results I'm getting. I don't mind waiting a couple more seconds just to kind of get more of that image to be understood. Alas, if you're also interested in any of the models we're actually using, we covered all of them within our model install video. And then when it comes to the live paint feature, if you're not blessed with artistic skill or you never invested in developing it, then you can still make your way through it. You just kind of got to get through the couple of growing pains of, man, yikes. But yeah, also I do think I actually prefer using the airbrush opposed to the solid brush. I think it helps you gives you a little more playing room to the AI. But if you weren't satisfied with just using the amazing live paint tool, perhaps you'll be interested in our fantastic Skool community, entirely free to join. We have a bunch of resources there that hopefully make the friction of getting into AI art or getting into Krita AI really, really low. How to install it, what all the tools do, what models that are, I think, a stand above the rest, and a bunch of tabs where you can post your arts. People can refine it for you, as well as some S-tier resources associated with LoRs and things like that I'll probably make a video about. And of course, we also have, like I said, a free course that tells you how to install Krita and get going. And then we have a more advanced course that's called the Artist Arsenal, which essentially provides just a huge amount of utility things that I always wanted when I was first starting, such as a framework that tells you the importance of segmentation, as well as just a bunch of amazing labels or keywords or prompts, as well as their corresponding effects, such as what they visually look like when you add a certain stylization to the image, as well as the word itself, so you can just simply copy and paste when you're using Krita to composite a really good, really quick prompt that will give you a fantastic output. In combination with both of those things, we also have a super stack of complex line art with complex composition, as well as video courses on walking through all of those frameworks, as well as how to get the most out of that last segment, the line art segment, which honestly, I think might be one of the more undervalued things. And if you're not very gifted with live paint, which I showed you, you can kind of get by even if you're terrible, like myself, your key to power will likely be using line art to give yourself that edge. And even if you already have painting skill, I think it might be worth even checking that out, if not just for the utility of it all. But alas, let me know what you think about line art. Please do not. Yeah, you can. I don't know. You can't. Yeah, it's rough. The painting skills is rough, guys. We do our best. Okay, and it's never enough, and it is what it is. And I hope I can see you over at Sparkworks. I would love to see some of the art if you have the courage to post it there. I would love if you also are open to people refining it, because that's kind of the idea, is we all can kind of like build off of each other and tell each other about great lores that we found and great outputs. Just keep things safe for work, all those things. AR can be quite the gambit. Alas. Hopefully I can see you once again in the future, and goodbye for now, my friends.